the all-new Vibe, Houston's Culture, Evolution of KTSU 90.9. Michelle McKnight's here, and it is Women Crushing It Wednesday, my favorite day of the week because we always have a dope female that joins me in studio between 8 and 10 o'clock. And tonight's special guest is actually not only a guest, but she is a new member to our Vibe, as well as our 90.9 KTSU family. Welcome to the show, Lyndsay Levingston, formerly known as Lyndsay Christian. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Michelle. It's so great to meet you.
It's so good to meet you, too. And you came in your fully iced out, a.k.a. apparel
I am
tonight.
ready. I am excited because my sorority sister, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, she made history today.
Yes, she did.
So I'm wearing my letters in honor, my pearls and my letters in honor of her.
I feel like everybody, honestly, though, not even just the AKAs, but just HBCUs in general all across the world are claiming Kamala.
We're all celebrating this
I'm sorry.
moment.
I still keep taking the L, like, on a pronunciation of her name. Give me a couple weeks. I'll be okay.
We're all celebrating this moment. It's history for our nation. But we're just so proud as a sorority because it represents, I think, so much in history. It represents so much for Black women. It represents so much for our culture. So we are just proud. I'm ecstatic. So I had to represent today. I had to.
And your Founders Day just passed as well, so
We are
congratulations.
celebrating a lot. This month is a busy month. Thank you so much. We just
I've
celebrated
seen a lot of pink and green fur.
We just celebrated 113 years of service and sisterhood. And so I'm just honored to be a member.
And it's almost like today is it's a new chapter. Out with the old, thank goodness, in with the new. So what are some of the things that you're really just looking forward to, not just with, Kamala and her being the first woman vice president, first woman of color, first person of color to serve as the vice president in the U.S., but also Joe Biden now coming in. He's promising that basically he's just, in these first few weeks, going to undo everything that Donald Trump has done in the last 4 years. So what are you really looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to America taking a breath and exhaling. Just a sigh of relief that we'll have change in the White House and that our leadership will be for the people, not against the people, and will unite us as a common people, a common population. We are not united right now, but I think that we will be united very soon. I'm looking specifically to changes in healthcare. As a breast cancer survivor, thriver, I do think it's important that we have advocates in our leadership, in our nation's leadership, that will advocate for women and men like me. I'm also looking for leadership as it relates to just access to funding for, everything, not only for education, but just funding. Where is our funding going? I'm really not into politics heavy, but I became very ingrained as it relates to healthcare. That's what I'm really passionate about because I was personally affected, and so that's really what I'm looking for. And just to move forward, we need to move forward as a nation. And I felt like we took a couple of steps, miles backwards. And also we just celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday. And I know that he would be so disappointed in where our country, the past 4 years of the status of our country. So just to make him proud.
Well, even his son made a statement with CNN on MLK Day.
He did say that. It was a very strong statement.
It was.
Right. So I know that our new leadership will make him proud in heaven. So,
and I'm glad you touched on healthcare. Of course, we're going to dive deep into that because Lyndsay is a breast cancer awareness survivor, which brings us up to the topic of your podcast, Sir Thriver, which we're going to get into next year. So keep those radios locked into the all-new Vibe. It's Houston's Culture, powered by KTSU 90.9. Michelle McKnight here on the all-new Vibe. It's the evolution of KTSU 90.9. And as always, women crushing it. It's a ton of them in Houston that are doing that, which we are so proud of. So much talented female energy in the city. You can always nominate a woman of influence to come and be a guest on the show for Women Crushing It Wednesday up at VibeHouston.com. And speaking of VibeHouston.com, that is our digital platform, which we are happy that we are going to be elevating your platform.
yes.
Of Sir Thriver and your podcast that is going to be airing every other Thursday with us. This is our special guest, Lyndsay Levingston, on the show. So tell us about Sir Thriver, what it means to you, what got you into the platform, and what exactly, again, the people need to know about it of importance.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer July 2019, and I underwent 15 rounds of chemotherapy, a bilateral mastectomy, breast reconstruction, and some other procedures. I also carry the BRCA1 gene mutation, which puts me at higher risk for both breast and ovarian cancer. So after undergoing all of these procedures and learning so much about the breast cancer space, new technologies and advances, and also when COVID hit, I had to figure out how do I pivot from my TV media career and how do I make a purposeful pivot after having experienced this significant health journey. So I was inspired to create this new platform called Thriver, which is a combination of Survivor and Thriver, because I survived breast cancer and I am thriving now on the other end. Although I will say, people think when you ring the bell and you're done and you're healed, praise God for that your journey is over. But I'm like, no, it just started, because now I have to focus on thriving and survivorship. I mean, I'm under surveillance every few months now by a medical team. I'm under a microscope for the next 2 years, and then 5 years. There's some markers and milestones I have to meet. So I say all that to say I was really overwhelmed with information, but so much so that I said I have to share it with other people and help women. So the purpose of Thriver is to inform, inspire, and empower women and men around breast cancer awareness and wellness to continue the conversation beyond the month of October. We all think that we just have to talk about it during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I was like, there's just so much that I want to share to help women through their journeys year-round. Mm-hmm. So I will execute my initiative and my platform through content, collaboration, and conversation. Mm-hmm. Conversations like we're having right now, interviews, media moments, collaborations with brands, Susan G. Komen, Sisters Network, and then there's the content component. And after having some conversations with the KTSU family, General Manager Ernest Walker said, our community needs this. Mm-hmm. What do you think about a podcast? And I said, that's perfect. That was in my business plan and my vision. Mm-hmm. And so we launched Thriver last week. And through Thriver podcast, I will interview celebrities, guests, breast cancer Thrivers, medical professionals to talk about self-care, mental health. How do you survive after being diagnosed? Where are the resources? Mm-hmm. When should you get a mammogram? What funding is out there? There's just so much under the breast cancer awareness umbrella that I think is just so important that we educate the African American community about. And in particular, Black women, we are diagnosed at a higher rate than that of our white counterparts. Mm-hmm. So it's just crucial that we prioritize our health and that we know exactly what to do if and when we are diagnosed and how to prevent. There are some measures that you can take to improve your lifestyle and health to prevent a diagnosis. Now, unfortunately for me, it was in my DNA. Like I was born, like Lady Gaga says, born this way. Mm-hmm. Well, I was born this way because it's in my DNA and I have the BRCA1 gene mutation. But there are some ways that you can change your lifestyle, improve your health to prevent what could be, a cancerous diagnosis. So I'm very excited about it. The first episode was an interview with Ananda Lewis, who I grew up watching on MTV. You probably did too, Michelle. Mm-hmm. And I interviewed Dr. Matthew Knowles. That interview is coming up soon. Jean Moore's wife, Jean Moore is a part of the KTSU family. I interviewed her, Lashana Moore, about her Black Bodice documentary.
Mm-hmm. And we've had her on the show as well.
Yes, I saw that interview too. She's fantastic. So it will run the gamut. The conversations will run the gamut about not only breast cancer awareness, but wellness. Mm-hmm. We have to take care of ourselves.
And education is just always an important thing. So we are happy to have you joining, the KTSU 90.9 family as well as The Vibe. Again, this podcast is going to be airing every other Thursday, vibehouston.com, as well as other digital platforms. And I really want to actually tap into what your experience was like having to go through that. Because, again, it's not only, education is important just based off statistics, but, it's just always interesting, too, just to hear someone's personal experience and journey with that. So we'll talk about more of that coming up next here with Lyndsay Levingston on The Only Vibe is Houston's Culture. It's Women Crushing It Wednesday on the All New Vibe, powered by KTSU 90.9. Michelle McKnight here in studio with my guest tonight, Lyndsay Levingston, host and creator as well as founder of Sir Thriver. And of course, again, your podcast, people are going to be able to tap into that every other Thursday, starting this Thursday, vibehouston.com. And I know you talk about, wanting to really educate people on statistics about breast cancer, being that you are a survivor of it. But I'm actually interested to hear about your experience, your journey with it, because a lot of times when people are faced with something like that, especially when, it's complications in health, you can either take a turn for the worse as far as your mental and dealing with that, or you really can take that and you build from it. And so, when you came to that crossroads, if you ever came to that crossroads, you just might be just this positive, super optimistic thinker, all the time, like nothing can defeat me. But I'm just interested to know, kind of what you experienced mentally, physically, as you went through your journey with breast cancer.
It was an overwhelming journey. I will say that. When I was first diagnosed, I'll be honest, Michelle, I could not articulate the C word because I didn't want to accept the fact that me, Lyndsay, was diagnosed, that was in my body. But after receiving the diagnosis and meeting with my breast surgeon, she really gave me hope and I guess you would say really that positive push that I'm going to beat this. And I had a positive prognosis because early detection does save lives. And thank God for early detection. I was diagnosed at stage 2B. So because of that, I had a positive prognosis. So that gave me a positive outlook and hope. And I just powered through it. I mean, you can imagine getting 15 rounds of chemicals pumped through your body. That's a lot. Also going through significant traumatic surgeries, and traumatic as in your body is being sliced and diced and you're getting poked and prodded. That's a lot. But I leaned on my faith. And my experience and my journey brought me closer to God. I mean, I'm a Christian, but it was like he and I were besties at this point. And I just leaned on him. I leaned on my village. I had a loving village, supportive, loving village that surrounded me, embraced me, prayed for me, prayed over me, and covered me. That is really what got me through it. I did have, yes, of course, bouts of sadness. I mean, that's normal. But I didn't allow myself to fall deep into the pit or deep down into the valley, because I knew that there would be a sparkly light at the end of the tunnel, and it was just a matter of getting to that light. And I did. And now looking back, I'm almost a year in of celebrating my 1-year cancerversary. I just celebrated there's so many anniversaries, by the way. I celebrated my Bellaversary, which was the day I rang the bell to signify that I completed chemo. So that was one bell. Then I had to wait 2 months, and then I had my bilateral mastectomy, which is, the surgery in which they removed the breast tissue. They sent it to the lab, and then I got the call on Valentine's Day 2020 that there were no signs of cancer, and I was cancer-free. So I have so much to celebrate. But to anyone who is diagnosed with breast cancer or any chronic illness, I would say to surround yourself with love, with a supportive village, and to lean on your faith. And just know that God will pull you through. He's faithful, and I'm a walking testimony. I don't look like what I've been through. I know people are listening, you may be watching, but I don't look like what I've been through.
You are the sparkle at the end of the tunnel.
I am that sparkle. They say, oh, you're glowing, Lyndsay. Well, I say it's a God glow because it's him who healed me. And so through Sir Thriver, I feel like I'm on a God-given mission to help others find their glow and their sparkle in their journeys.
And we're excited, of course, again, to have you joining us with our Vibe family, vibehouston.com, where you can catch that Sir Thriver.
It is a tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister. A podcast every Thursday, vibehouston.com. And of course, having a support group, even if it is something that you're just listening into to get advice, wisdom, anything like that, is always a good thing. But of course, we're going to check back in here with Lyndsay Levingston here before 10 o'clock on the All New Vibes to keep those radios locked in here. It's the evolution of KTSU 90.9. Michelle McKnight here on the Only Vibe. It's Houston's Culture, powered by KTSU 90.9. Cheers to the fact that this is a new chapter, a new era, and shout out to Divine Nine and Lyndsay Levingston, who is my guest tonight, who came in her full AKA gear.
I sure did.
Repping for Kamala.
I had to.
And, again, we're happy to be welcoming you to the 90.9 KTSU as well as the Vibe family. Congratulations on Sir Thriver podcast. Sir Thriver. You have to say it slow.
Sir Thriver.
So that way you can articulate it to the T. But for anybody that has any questions, if they want to, potentially be a person that you interview on the show and they feel like, or they just want to share their experience or really just, want to get some positive energy and positive feedback from you, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can follow Sir Thriver on social media. On Instagram, we're SUR_Thriver. You can send me an email through info@sirthriver.com. And personally, you can follow me at Lynz, Lynz Christian TV on Instagram. Send me an email. I'm accessible on social, and I'm so happy to answer questions. I'll be honest, there have been so many women who have reached out to me recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and I've been walking them through their journey virtually. Women who I don't know. So I'm open. I'm here. God is using me in a mighty way, and I'm just, I'm honored, and I'm just so excited and ecstatic to just start this journey and to start the podcast with my KTSU family, Vibe family.
Yes. And then again, her being a Sir Thriver survivor or Sir Thriver. Just a Sir Thriver. Sir Thriver survivor, because again, it's survivor mixed with thriver on
That's
top
right.
of that. You are definitely the sparkle at the end of the tunnel. You do not look like what you have been through, and that is a blessing within itself. So I definitely do think that you're going to be able to touch some lives, more lives than you already have touched, in a very positive way. So again, welcome. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank
and again,
you so much,
we'll have
Michelle.
all of her socials tagged on our page, so make sure that you click that follow button at the Vibe Houston, vibehouston.com as well, to catch her Sir Thriver podcast every other Thursday with the Vibe here. And of course, if there is ever a woman in the Houston area that you would like to nominate to be a guest on a Women Crushing It Wednesday, you can do that at vibehouston.com as well.